Well, I like your question, Stu. Hey, we got a red light now.
Yeah, well, that's one of the things that you're going to remember in the future is, hey, the red light's not on.
Yeah.
Okay, so why don't you slate yourself again, who you are, and tell me a little bit about yourself.
Okay, sure. So my name's Garrett. I'm an associate winemaker at Joel Got Wines. I live in Petaluma with my wife and 2 kids. We live on a little bit of property up there in northern Petaluma.
All right, and what do you do? Who do you work for?
I work for Joel Got Wines. I'm an associate winemaker.
Okay, and what does an associate winemaker do?
An associate winemaker at a large winery such as Joel Got focuses on a lot of the logistical concerns of the winery. So making sure that we have enough wine for our blends, making sure that all of the integrity of the wine is there, that it's being taken care of properly, and it gets shipped from place to place as it needs to be. I communicate a lot with Trinchero Family Estates, who's our corporate partner in winemaking, to make sure that we're meeting the quotas and volume that they need to make.
So a lot of logistics.
A lot of logistics, man.
Okay, so one of the things we were talking about earlier was I was asking you what the hardest part of your job is.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Well, one of the hardest parts of my job is the ego.
All right.
There's a lot of ego in winemaking.
How does that manifest itself?
Yeah, well, a good story that sort of talks about that is I was a production manager and associate winemaker for a very small custom crush location. Custom crush is when people have grapes and they want to make wine, but they don't have a winery, so they have to go somewhere. So they contract with me, in this case, for services to make the wine. So this guy brought in 1 ton, like 2 little bins of grapes, and they were perfect. They were his perfect little jewels from the vineyard, and he treated them as if each one of them was like his son. And he had us run them through the most gentle sort of destimming process and hand sort them all down to the bin. And then he wanted to do things that we hadn't really done for anybody else before, put fish tank heaters inside of his bin.
You're telling me about fish tank heaters. Yeah. I mean, so you're kind of cooking the wine.
Well, kind of cooking the wine. You know, the wine comes in, the grapes come in cold from the vineyard. And then what this particular guy wanted to do, because he also had the best method for producing wine, as everybody really did there, where he would bring it in cold, he would put the fish tank heaters in, and then he would turn them on to get the grapes very warm, very fast, and then start the fermentation process, so the yeast and bacteria in there would be really happy and make the best wine.
Sure.
Now that can go wrong though. We had a guy once who put a bunch of fish tank heaters inside of a barrel that he had filled with grapes, and that was not such a good idea, mainly because the fish tank heater that he used was really old. But we came back in the morning and the air just, this acrid smell of like electrical burning and grape burning all just mixed together, and it was terrible.
So how do you handle, what particular techniques do you use when you have somebody that comes in let's say his relationship with his grapes is not strictly professional?
Yeah. Well, we had quite a few of those. Yeah.
So what do you do? How do you handle that?
Well, how do you handle it? A lot of times I had them do their own work. So I would say, oh, sure, you want this extra thing done? You want to go like hand massage your grapes? You can do that. That's great. I'll make that space and time available for you to go in to go and massage your grapes, or get it. Take off your pants and get in the tank and squish it yourself.
So what do you like best about your job?
Oh, one of the things that I love the best about my job is that every bottling, every time that we put the finished wine into a bottle, it's like a time capsule from that vintage. Going back and tasting through the vintages that I've made, each one sort of tells a unique story.
You were talking about the story. How does what elements does a wine have to tell its story?
Yeah, the first is its packaging. The first is just the statement on the label of where it came from and who made it. The next one is the color and the aromas, that all link to sense memories. For me as the person who made the wine, it links to the sense memories of being out in the vineyard and smelling the dew, of the morning of harvest. It's the sense memory of the smell of cracked black pepper in a fermentation tank when the wine was just new and not even really born yet. For me, it's it's the taste of the tannins and how they've softened over time. So instead of being astringent and just wicking all of the moisture out of your mouth, how they've become just sort of silky element of mouthfeel. And all of that tells the story of the age of the wine. It tells the story of that year. In 2011, we had a very, very cold year, and where we didn't really have a summer. Really, it just got marginally warmer through our warm season, and then it rained really heavily during harvest, and it just took a lot of doing in the vineyard and the winery to make good wine that year. And a lot of that is evident in the aromas and the taste profiles of those wines. It's just a marker for that year. And so being able to taste and smell and be transported back in time to when those grapes were fresh and when we were just bringing them in and working with them, that's one of my favorite things.
So you were talking earlier about, a lot of what you do right now is logistics.
Yeah.
But do you envision a time when you're actually going to be getting in there and, blending the wines and analyzing the flavor profiles and doing that sort of thing?
Yeah, in fact, we were doing some of that today. A big part of my job is the logistics of winemaking and making sure that all the pieces work together. But also, we did a comparative tasting of Pinot Noir today from Santa Rita Hills and some different areas. We also were working on some fining trials for our Chardonnay that we're about to bottle, and just figuring out what rates of additions to add to make the wine stable in the bottle, but then also to not damage its flavor integrity. So it's both. I still do both.
So how does a guy who comes from a home where his mom won't allow wine to be served at a Bible study end up working in a vineyard?
Yeah, right? Well, it confused my mom too. No, that's a good question.
Well, yeah. So, what drew you to it?
Sure. So I was working on my undergrad at Sonoma State in psychology. At the same time, I was working at a wine bar in Petaluma, serving tables, serving wine.
Also hard to explain to mom.
The restaurant thing, right? So that was the thing. It's a good college job, waiting tables, right? It just happened to be at a wine bar. Oh well, it was good money actually. Serving tables and especially in a wine sort of scene, it was a good job. I got to meet a lot of great people, winemakers and people who were in sales side of the wine industry, different chefs and learning about pairing food with wine. I remember my first actually experience pairing food with wine was after my first shift working there. The restaurant was called 154 downtown Petaluma. It's not there anymore. But the chefs there had some leftover empanada dough. And they rolled out the empanada dough, and they had a few bits and pieces left over from lunch service that day, and so they threw some sausage on it, and some arugula, some bell peppers.
So empanada has olive paste in it, right?
Empanada has olive paste in it?
That was actually a crossword puzzle answer, so I could be wrong. But what is empanada dough?
Oh, sure. So empanada dough, are you familiar with the empanada that's the Argentinian specialty? So it's this dough.
The dough has not got the olive paste. Empanada itself has crushed olives in it.
Tapenade maybe?
Tapenade
is like chopped up olives and olive oil and maybe some vinegary sort of.
That's why we're having a food consultant for this.
Trader Joe's has a really great tapenade.
Okay, so anyway, empanada bread. Wheel the empanada bread out, spread something.
Oh yeah. Empanada dough. Put the pizza together, bake it, and that's what what the staff ate for lunch. And we paired it with a Sancerre, which is a Sauvignon Blanc grape from France, from the Sancerre region. And it was just beautiful the way that the empanada dough, it's very buttery and sort of heavy, but also at the same time kind of flaky. And then
Sancerre, S-I-N-C-E-R-E?
S-A-N.
Oh, so
Sancerre.
Okay, anyway.
And so just how rich and mouth-filling the pizza was, and then how light and acidic and refreshing that Sancerre was just it opened my eyes to say, like, this liquid can actually enhance the food that I'm eating.
So what appeals to you about the opportunity to host a show like we've talked about?
Sure. I really enjoy talking with people about food and about what they do. I think I relate to people really well, and I love meeting new people in new situations.
All right, I think we're good.
Good.
Thanks.
Cool.
Any last thing you want to say? It's your last chance.
My last chance?
It's your last chance.
Okay, thanks, I appreciate it.
All right.